2 weeks is hardly a dip in the ocean of what Indonesia has in store for us. But if you're short on time and still want to make the most out of your holiday, stay tuned to see how we succeeded in visiting 6 Indonesian islands while still managing to enjoy a massage almost every single day. And all of this in just 2 weeks. After catching our return flight back to Bali, it's time for another small, majestic and amazing island that has to be a must on your list. It's also only 35 minutes by boat, by fast ferries, away from Bali, so it'll take us no time to reach Nusa Penida, the absolute crown jewel among islands in Indonesia. Here it feels like time is passing slower, everything is even more laid back, and everyone seems to be living for the moment. It's quite an experience. It was on Nusa Penida where we discovered a fabulous homestay run by the most diligent man you could imagine. We booked one of the most affordable stays here and felt like royalty, if you can imagine. How this man cared for us and made sure everything functioned, it was, wow, fascinating. So I could not recommend this place enough. Anyhow, we've all had a long travel day behind us if you're following the itinerary, so I believe now is the best time to share with you a location of a great family-run restaurant in Nusa. Family-run restaurants here in Indonesia are called warongs. You've probably seen loads of those. Warung Beach kept us returning day after day here in Nusa Penida. It was a great price for delicious food and the setting is so adorable. And now let's get back to exploring this little island. It seems small and manageable in a day from afar. However, the drivers and the state of the roads might not quite agree with us. So our plan was to visit everything in a day and enjoy the rest of the half of days that we had left, just exploring the neighborhood of ours. However, that didn't quite work out. You see, we wanted to pull off a day trip around the island by renting a driver for a day. But none of them wanted to do so. What they're trying to sell you, all of the drivers, is either the West or the East tour, and each of those is supposed to be done in one day, or if you would want to join those two trips together, they would give you a separate price for one and the other calculated together, and you wouldn't really get a good deal. They're also not inclined to putting any of your extra ideas, they just want to do the points they have written down for their West and East itinerary, and no matter how much we tried, with the little time we had there, we eventually had to settle for one of those trips because we just had one day, and then we did a little something extra on the last day, but ended up needing to pay the entire other day trip tour price. So I can't really recommend you a driver because our pursuits were in vain, but the trips were fabulous. So let's get more into detail on those. We firstly embarked on the so-called West tour, which was a little less expensive than the East tour. First stop was the breathtaking Kalingking beach, the place I yearned to visit in the Indonesia trip I was planning, and it lived up to the expectations. It's important to be there early so you avoid all the day trippers coming from Bali, and you have this place almost absolutely to yourself, or even perhaps completely to yourself. I mean, there's only a couple monkeys you have to share it with on the top, but those are just a bonus if you ask me. So against all my better judgment and my strong opposing to this idea, Andre has successfully convinced me to walk down the trail to Kalingking beach. You have a very steep descent here to reach the beach at the bottom of this Kalingking mountain, the Kalingking beach. So put on some very good shoes and prepare for a climb because it's not an easy hike. This one is absolutely not for the fainted of heart, and this is just an insane track, so I've managed to convince Andre 3/4 way down that this is just not the best idea, especially after a night of rain. However, the most amazing view is actually on the top of this mountain, but a very, very amazing experience that I wish I had the chance to repeat the second day because it would be no less amazing to see it one more time. Next on the tour list were Angels Bilabong and the Broken Beach. We wanted to visit them, but at the time of our arrival, they were both already packed with visitors, taking pictures after pictures after pictures. We were caught in this crowd, very tired, very hot because it was super warm at this time of the day. So we were happy to find a lovely older lady selling fresh fruit juices in a little hut she made on her own, and it helped us to cool down and later enjoy the beautiful sights. And you won't believe it, but there's only one last stop left on this tour of ours that the driver had in mind. It's the Crystal Bay. Unfortunately, our visit was in the rainy season, so there wasn't anything crystal-like on this beach. The wind was wild, the waves were intense, and frankly, the shore felt a bit more accommodating than the water. So we really enjoyed a bitang and a cup of Balinese coffee there, but decided to settle our bills with the driver and paid a visit to the Sushi Island. The Sushi Island is a very well-reviewed restaurant on Nusa Penida, where we, I believe, ordered half of the menu. The tuna they have there is locally sourced, locally caught. Everything we took was delicious. The next morning we planned to return back to Bali, but we had one more stop to make before leaving. We just had to see the Diamond Beach on the other side of Nusa Penida. The name Diamond Beach derives from the diamond-shaped stones that are set in the water. It's a beautiful sight on the east side of the island. You can see the popular tree houses from this one, and if you're lucky, there may be some manta rays swimming in the bay. And we were lucky indeed, so definitely worth the visit. Of course, you'll have to pay for parking and entrance and the stay of your driver there, which pile up, but that is how Indonesia works in general. We just felt sorry we didn't have more time to stay at the beach longer, and descend down to the beach instead of just enjoying the view over the mantas. After parting ways with Nusa Penida, there's a very special place waiting for us back in Bali. I strongly recommend you wind down in Sideman. This is a very special village on the east of Bali that we've so far neglected. The village is set among numerous rice fields, there is abundant greenery everywhere you look, and there are plenty of boutique resorts as well as some homestays at this location. So, different things to choose from and a lot of things to enjoy. Sideman has a special vibe since it isn't a city like Ubud or Canggu, it's a village. The best comparison to me would be the difference among the French countryside and Paris. So the French countryside is Sideman for me, if Canggu and Kuta are Paris or the city, I found a new and fabulous resort at this location with separate bungalows all over this estate. They're set in a beautiful site full of green trees, as I said, right next to a river, and they serve you delicious breakfast. Here we had a chance to try out the famous flower bath that you will see all over the internet. If you have any Instagram friends visiting Indonesia, you'll have the opportunity to explore the rice terraces some more. Sideman is also famous for their silver and the products, the jewelry they make from it. However, we weren't lucky enough to have enough time to pay those a visit because we were too busy relaxing in our resort, Wapa di Ume, which I couldn't recommend enough. And our timetable still leaves us with one last night to use before our return flight. Am I right? If your flight isn't painfully early, I would recommend you prolong your stay in Sideman or add a day on Nusa Penida before you return to Bali, obviously. Or in our case, we moved closer to the airport just to keep it safe. We chose to check out Kuta right next to the airport. We had a lovely dinner here. We just roamed the streets and tried taking in as much of Indonesia as we could at this point because we knew we were leaving in a day. So here it was, our 14-day itinerary to experience as much Indonesia as you can, starting from Bali and visiting the neighbouring islands and some of the most popular sites the country has to offer. So now let's break it down. We have the itinerary that will give you an epic trip around Indonesia in only 2 weeks that starts with 2 nights in Seminyak or Canggu, followed with 4 nights in Ubud to explore the majority of Bali and to touch the beautiful north. Next, we're hopping on a flight to Labuan Bajo to visit 3 or more of the unforgettable islands of Komodo National Park. And after our return flight in 2 nights, we'll waste no time and hop on a boat to Nusa Penida. Here we'll find some of the most breathtaking natural sights, and after 2 or 3 nights, we'll return back to Bali for a wind down in the French countryside of Bali, or so-called Sideman. Here you can either spend 2 or 3 nights, depending on the preferences you have and the style of your trips. Thank you for tuning in to my itinerary, and I'll hope you enjoy it firsthand while traveling around Indonesia. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!